We are here at Hold Their Feet to the Fire. It is such an exciting time. 2014, the largest gathering of radio talk show hosts in the country each and every year, right here at the Federation of American Immigration Reform. We have been meeting the most interesting people. Someone who is back with us again, who is no stranger to our show, is Robert Vandervoort. We thank you so much for being with us, sir. Pro-English. Pro-English means that you think that English should be the first language of America? How odd.
Well, you know, it's a long time since we've been around. We've been around 20 years, and frankly, most Americans agree with our position that it should be the official language.
Well, that for some reason, of all the crazy things that happens in America, it kind of makes me feel better. I feel like standing up and saluting the flag, if that is the truth in the latest poll numbers. Well, and thank God that you are doing something. And a lot of this just continues, it seems like, to focus on Arizona this particular week. But an Arizona student is fighting for English only at college. Explain to us, you're involved in this lawsuit. Well, lay it out for us.
Sure, absolutely. What happened was Terry Bennett was a nursing student at Pima Community College in Tucson, Arizona. And she found it very distracting when fellow classmates would translate into other languages during the middle of lectures. And when she got assigned student projects and labs, she was often the only English speaker in her group project. So
which would be rather distracting, especially when you're learning things about the physical anatomy and sticking needles in people and learning some pretty intricate operations here.
That's right. You would think you would want a nurse who can communicate with the doctors and the rest of the medical staff and the patients and all that kind of stuff, and yet they were tolerating all of this translation going on and isolating our Terry Bennett, the woman we're helping. And so she went to the nursing school teacher and she went to the nursing school director and went through the right channels to say, hey, this is a real problem here. And instead of being supportive, they basically called her a racist and a bigot and all kinds of things. And ultimately she received a 9-month suspension from the school for harassing and bullying Spanish-speaking people and for stalking them and all kinds of just craziness that they made up about Terry Bennett. So she was looking for help. She found us on the web. She was looking for a group that supports English, and we listened to her and thought her case was compelling, and we have a crack team of lawyers in Tucson working right now to help her prevail.
Now, where is Pro-English out of? Are you out of Arizona as well?
We are not. We're actually based in Arlington, Virginia, but we focus all around the country on these kinds of issues.
Kinds of issues where regular American English-speaking individuals are often being discriminated against.
That's right. In fact, a lot of times people, restaurant shop owners might have a policy that you need to speak English on the job, which is perfectly legal. But oftentimes, disgruntled employees will file a complaint with, say, some kind of human rights commission to say, I'm being discriminated against because my boss wants me to speak English at work. And we've been very successful in fighting those cases.
Well, good for you. That seems to be the most ridiculous and ludicrous. It's almost like that you're telling a parlor joke. Like, okay, what's the punchline?
Right.
That people are suing their employer because the employer is requiring them in the United States of America to speak English.
Yeah, I mean, it's absurd on the face of it. You can't make some of this stuff up, but it's actually happening in this country. And we actually, at our website at proenglish.org, we have a list of cases we've been involved in, and there's more information about the nursing student case that we're fighting.
So how far do these get? I mean, are they normally? It seems like a no-brainer that these should be decided by the judge or the jury immediately on the first level. But do they often get appeals and so forth all the way up?
Well, oftentimes these are cases that are brought through bureaucratic bodies, administrative bodies, so which makes it even harder because they're not in state court or federal court. They're actually these bureaucratic tribunals. The Pennsylvania Human Rights Commission, for example, will investigate and hold hearings and levy fines.
Who funds them?
This is all funded by the taxpayers.
So federal government is investigating people who have a problem. Explain again. I don't understand.
Sure.
I'm trying to follow the money in my pea brain.
Yeah. Well, usually these are like state-run organizations, and sometimes they're city-run organizations. But a lot of times these are taxpayer-funded groups that are supposed to be helping people and making sure everyone's equal and we have our human rights. But more often than not, they become these kind of witch hunt tribunals.
Vigilante type groups.
Exactly. For a case we were involved in was Joey Vento. He was the owner of a famous cheesesteak store, restaurant in Philadelphia, and he put up a sign saying, if you want to order here, you have to speak English. Well, it seems normal, it seems reasonable.
Well, isn't that like no shirt, no shoes, no service?
That's right, it's his business. If you don't like those rules, you can go to another cheesesteak restaurant. But somebody filed a complaint with the Pennsylvania Human Rights Commission against Joey, and we got involved and eventually vindicated him. But it's a shame that it has to come to this, that people get so worked up about this, that they're, with their multicultural, politically correct agenda, want to make it seem like, good, honest business owners and students are the bad people.
Are the bad people, then yet these people are the ones who are supposed to be protected by the Bill of Rights.
Exactly.
And is the Bill of Rights, do you believe that with all these things that you've been through, is the Bill of Rights still good in America, or is it under attack itself?
Well, that's a good question. I think there are, there are some disturbing signs of political correctness run amok, which doesn't seem to take into account the First Amendment, for example, and freedom of speech and freedom of association, things that we've always taken for granted. We too often see that people are getting fired. It was that the guy from Firefox or whatever was because of a donation he made. I mean, it is disturbing to see where this stuff is going to lead.
Well, it is disturbing to see where this stuff is going to lead. We're coming to you live from Capitol Hill and Hold Their Feet to the Fire. We're on Radio Row with the Federation of American Immigration and Reform, and our guest this segment is Robert Vandervoort. He is the Executive Director of ProEnglish. He'd just like for us all to speak English or at least stop suing each other over it. Is that correct?
That would be great.
And now tell me some of the other outreaches that you do besides legally helping people that have been unfairly, or your organization determines have been unfairly targeted.
Well, sure. In addition to the litigation work that we do, we also get involved in educating people about the importance of passing official English for the federal government. Congressman Steve King has a bill right now, H.R. 997, and your listeners should make sure their congressman is supportive of that bill and a co-sponsor.
What is that bill?
This bill is the English Language Unity Act, and if it was passed, it would make English the official language for the federal government of America.
Well, there you go. I think that it's so funny having these rules that are now being placed, in Congress. Is kind of like the balanced budget. Like, yes, you have to have a balanced budget. It seems like a no-brainer, but it's amazing the amount of laws and so forth that we have to continue to put forth in this country that you think are a matter of common sense.
That's right. Some of the things that have the most common sense are the hardest things to get enacted.
Well, tell us how to get to your website.
Check out proenglish.org, and your listeners can sign up for our monthly email alerts, and we'll keep them up to speed on these issues.
Well, we certainly do appreciate you, Robert Vandervoort. We're going to keep in touch with you and follow these cases and have you back on when you're success and you have great things to tell us. Thank you so much for being with us. Robert Vandervoort, the Executive Director of ProEnglish.